Dear panelists, I hope you can hear me. I'm your chairperson and reporter for our session, Contemporary Issues and Challenges of Smart Cities and Smart Governments. So just a couple of notes before we start. So of course, we will have the schedule of presentations according to the program. So we have the first paper is paper of Jelena Stankovic, Ivana Marjanovic, and myself, Determinants of Cities, Population Size, the Magnetism of Global Cities in Attracting Inhabitants. I propose that we have questions for each paper afterwards. We have a number of attendees of the panel as well, so I advise that you pose your questions through chat, and later whether I can read your questions or you can, based on your interest, we can basically include you as a panelist that you can pose a question. Is this fine with everybody? Okay, so let's continue. So with the first paper, and then we will follow the schedule.
Hello, regards from me. We are both here. Ivana will be presenter. Sasha already introduced us in our paper. Yes.
Okay. We just have to share our screen.
To share our screen, just a second, please.
Let me try.
Bit of technical problems. Yes, here it is.
Yeah. You should be able to see the presentation
now.
Is everything okay?
I believe it is.
Okay, so let me start. We have wanted to examine the determinants of cities' population size regarding global cities, and what was the motivation for this? Well, urbanization is one of the main phenomena of today, with more than half of the world's population living in the cities, of which more than 12% live in megacities. With this amount of urban population, the cities have become an important actor for the economy at all levels, which stresses out the problem of obtaining urban attractiveness and competitiveness. Global competition for attractiveness or magnetism is crucial for determining future economic and overall success in cities development. Therefore, we have wanted to identify the main urban functions that affect the size of the city's population, and we have focused on our analysis on the major cities around the world. We have examined the cities within Global Power City Index database, and we have applied panel regression analysis on a sample of 39 global cities over the period 2013 until 2019. So what are the global cities? This concept has gained in topicality in the 1980s within urban studies, and it represents a term that defines the emerging urban hierarchy in the age of globalization. Global cities can be defined as centers for financing and servicing of investment, international trade, and the headquarters operations, as well as strategical places for the production of today's leading economic sectors. They also present large urban agglomerations of people, firms, capital, and infrastructure that serves as a vital center of corporate governance, government, and culture. With increased urban competitiveness, the magnetism of the city to attract its inhabitants has become a significant competitive advantage that contributes to its power. There is a race among global cities to attract companies, tourists, investors, new citizens, and most of all, skilled workforce. Attraction of a skilled workforce has a very positive effect on the city's overall attractiveness, and it affects that it attracts other actors such as companies and investors. Global cities are becoming desirable places to live, with the number of inhabitants in a city being affected by their success in performing 6 main functions as defined by Global Power City Index. And those functions are economy, research and development, cultural interaction, livability, environment, and accessibility. So we wanted to examine the influence of these variables, and we have used the data from the Global Power City Index, which is published by Institute for Urban Strategies of the Mori Memorial Foundation. It is used for the assessment of the major world cities according to their overall power to attract capital, people, and enterprises worldwide. So this index has 6 main functions. First one is economy, which reflects the city's economic performance. Second one, research and development function, which assesses the academic and innovative potential of the city. Then cultural interaction function, which assesses cultural capacity and resources of the city. Livability function, which reflects the quality of life for urban dwellers. Environment function, which assesses the condition of the natural environment. And accessibility function, which encompasses the suitability of inner city and international transport. Regarding the evolution of these variables over the time, we can see that the livability function has recorded some increase, which means that the quality of life of urban dwellers have increased in the period from 2013 up to 2019, while all other functions have remained at relatively similar level. And in order to determine how these variables influence the city size, we have created a regression model, panel data regression model. And first of all, we needed to select the correct model specification. We have conducted several statistical tests, and the result of Roche-Pagan-Lagrange multiplier test and the joint F-test rejected pooled OLSM assumption. And then we have conducted Hausman test in order to select between the model with fixed and random effects. And Hausman test indicated that the appropriate model is the model with fixed effects. Before the results can be reported, the model needed to be tested for the presence of heteroscedasticity, cross-sectional dependence, multicollinearity, and autocorrelation. And we have conducted suitable tests. The results, in order to test for heteroscedasticity, we have applied modified Wald test for the group wise heteroscedasticity in the fixed effect regression model. And the results have indicated that this model suffers from heteroscedasticity. In order to determine whether there is cross-sectional dependence, we have used Pesseran's test of cross-sectional independence, and the results have indicated that there is cross-sectional dependence. There is no multicollinearity in the model because the values of variance inflation factors are less than 10. And regarding serial correlation, the Woolridge test has indicated that there is autocorrelation in the idiosyncratic terms, and therefore we had to account for the existence of serial correlation, heteroscedasticity, and cross-sectional dependence, and we have applied the Driscoll-Clay estimation procedure. The results have indicated that free functions have significant influence on the population size in the global cities. Those are research and development, cultural interaction, and accessibility function, while other functions do not have significant influence according to the results of the model. And we have examined these significant variables in detail. Regarding cultural interaction, this variable includes some subgroups of indicators that are related to tourism resources, trend-setting potential, visitor amenities, cultural facilities, and international interaction. There are evidence that major cultural events represent one of the important tools for the improvement of competitiveness of the cities through the improvement of their image, encouragement of economic development, and the improvement of infrastructure and the attractiveness of urban areas. Greater availability of cultural content improves the quality of life of residents by creating a pleasant environment which mitigates the negative effects of excessive urbanization. Therefore, it can be concluded that better offer of cultural content increases the urban magnetism of cities. Regarding accessibility function, we can say that while on the one hand, organization improves the quality of life of residents through the better employment opportunities, higher income, as well as through the provision of better living environment. On the other hand, it creates various problems, one of the most important being accessibility problem. And then this problem can reduce the quality of life of urban residents. Accessibility refers to the ability of people to reach geographically dispersed attraction, activities, and amenities of all kinds. Regarding global function, regarding accessibility function of global cities, it encompasses subgroups of indicators that are related to the international network, air transport capacity, transport comfortability, and inner-city transportation. Access to people, services, and jobs represents basic factor in the economic vitality of the city and quality of life. It can be concluded that more accessible cities are more attractive to residents and that greater accessibility entails greater urban magnetism. And the last one, cities are often considered as the cradles of an innovative and creative environment. Urban environments are richer, more diverse, more knowledge intensive, and more specialized than non-urban areas. Research and development function of global cities relates to subcategories that refer to the academic resources, research environment, and innovation. And in our model, we have discovered that there is a negative association between research and development function and population size. And although the results indicate that there is a negative relationship, it should not be concluded that progress in research and development functions causes the reduction of urban attractiveness, yet it can be said that in this database, in this sample, smaller cities outperform larger cities. On the other hand, there is a possible explanation for this relation, which is the fact that investment in research and development function creates a favorable environment for residents through the increasement of quality of life, through the better education, better employment opportunities, which all leads to the ultimately leads to the higher costs of living in the urban area, and that can somehow reduce urban growth. And to conclude, due to accelerated globalization, global cities worldwide are more and more confronted with the direct competition for various resources, one of the most important one being talented workforce. Formerly, it was considered that financial incentives were one of the main factors in the decision of residents to relocate, but now we can see that some other benefits are also attractive, such as quality of environment, the availability of cultural events, convenience of transport, and so on. The practical significance of this research is in the fact that it contributes to the existing knowledge related to the factors that attracts residents to the cities. These results indicate that cultural content and accessibility play an important role in the attractiveness of the city for residents, while on the other hand, investing in innovation, research and development may ultimately lead to the increase of the cost of living in the city, but this relationship needs to be further examined. And regarding future research in this area, first of all, some other variables can be implemented in the model, most important one being demographic variables such as fertility rates, and also variables that reflect subjective perception of residents can be implemented in the model. Also the model, it's possible to examine the determinants of the magnetism of cities from the standpoint of tourists. And thank you for your attention. If there are any questions, we will answer later.
That's all from me. Sasha.
Many thanks, Ivana and Jelena, for giving us a great presentation. Like I said, we will have a presentation, we will have questions afterwards. And now I will announce myself. I have a privilege of using the studio, so I will present you paper development issues of mountain areas in the Republic of Croatia, co-authored by Nada Denona Bogovic and Sasha Čegak. And we will present you actually the part of research which comes from the project that we did for the Ministry of Regional Development. So out of this project, we actually designed two papers. One paper where we use panel regression analysis. We already sent to international journal, and this is the sort of initial research that we present at this conference. So in terms of theoretical, theoretical issues, so our research focus was in researching development disparities of specific territorial areas within the national borders. The long-term and growing regional disparities actually led to continuous lagging of these underdeveloped areas. And this is not something specific only for Croatia. But however, it's not a problem just for these areas, it's a problem for overall economy, because these actually underdeveloped areas drag whole economy and reduce productivity and competitiveness. So it's also one of the important parts of national development strategies. So in order to prevent this problem, specific incentives are set in order to increase economic, demographic, and other capacities of underdeveloped areas. And in this research, we examine long-term demographic and economic features of mountain areas in Croatia. So that's in period from 2001 to 2017. And like I said, this analytics that we used was actually used by Ministry of Regional Development in order to actually plan and provide strategical documentation for development of these areas in the following period. So this is how we would say this is both scientific, but it has very strong policy implementation, which is already implemented in the system. So the goal of this research is actually to evaluate results of particular regional policy. In terms of theories, in the last 50 years, there is a growing interest in research on regional growth and development. And we could say that the space matters. I would say the most prominent champion of this area is definitely Paul Krugman with his agglomeration theory. And we have to say that here, mainstream theories seriously limited in explaining regional growth patterns. If you look at the neoclassical theory, by its assumptions, we shouldn't have a regional economic problem, because all the differences should level up if we are talking about perfect markets. On the other hand, Keynesian or neo-Keynesian theory is pretty much focused on government intervention in infrastructure and transfers, which was basics of the model that we had in Croatia and some other regions, but we also see that this doesn't work as well. And thus, in theory, there is increasing importance of economic geography with its bottom-up model, instead of so far present top-down model. Paradigm change addresses human capital and innovations, agglomerations, institutions, and spatial distances. Research focused on this equilibrium of social and economic spatial tendencies and occurrence of new territorial structures. So the devil is in details. Also, some of the authors point that growth of national economy bases on several fast-growing and innovative, mostly urban areas. And this is basically what drives inequality as well. Empirical studies as well show regional divergence within EU regions. Mountain areas are thus in special focus of EU regional policy, and as you can see, they cover 30% of territory and 70% of population. The EU regional policy is also focused on incentives, which refer to environmental protection and promotion of resource efficiency, as well as increase of attractiveness of mountain areas in terms of economic activities, quality of life, and better access to public services. So we analyzed these long demographic, economic, and fiscal tendencies in Croatia. We covered this long period, and what we can actually see is that we have very negative results of policy and government interventions in this period. We see significant loss of inhabitants, and also this is comparative to national average as well. Educational levels are below national average, significantly lower rate of employment. And also, it is very interesting to note that mountain areas experience much higher intensity of economic crisis between 2009 and 2014. So we can say that there was a symmetrical shock for mountain areas. And parallel to this, what we notice actually that the government transfer in this point also decreased tremendously towards mountain areas. So we had basically parallel negative effects of economic crisis and negative effects of reduced fiscal capacity, which actually occurred because of main macroeconomic and fiscal policy target, which was fiscal consolidation in Croatia. So this is a very valuable lesson for the future crisis and potentially the crisis that we are heading to, that the transfers should be increased, particularly for these areas. And these are some data, as you can see, in terms of average population density. So it's almost, mountain areas are basically mostly twice lower. Then we have an indicator of aging. So you can see also in terms of average aging index that if you compare 2001 and 2011, that mountain areas colored by blue color are significantly higher. Then we have average rate of unemployment. Also, you can see very high level of unemployment. So what we can see in 2008, it was relatively similar. And here you can see the effects of crisis, how unemployment in 2015 was substantially higher in mountain areas, and then it remained on a constantly higher level from even in recovery. What is also important to note, the most of employment level in these areas are held by local governments and government institutions, which is actually not positive in terms of productivity of the mountain areas. So when we discuss efficiency of present system of development incentives, so these measures were basically directed to financially support population and rise the fiscal capacity of local governments. And in our research, we don't see correlation of these measures with economic growth and employment. So that clearly shows that we need new interventions, new incentives, new alternative concept of regional development, new goals, new management, new policy instruments. We need to boost local entrepreneurship programs and incentives that increase local competitiveness. So we need to stimulate innovations, human capital development, capacity building, entrepreneurship networks. So to conclude, present system of incentives is inefficient and based on low level of knowledge and financial support. Therefore, we need coordinated system of regional development instruments, and we are happy that we were able to build in part of this suggestion within government official programs. And as well, we need to focus on development of innovativeness, capacity building, creative networking forms, with overall goals of boosting local competitiveness and socio-economic sustainability. The conclusion is that the mountain areas should be basically self-sustainable, and the only way in order to be self-sustainable, they need to have resilient local economy. Well, thank you for being patient. So after this presentation, we will go further, and we will listen to the paper, the presentation of the paper, Sustainable Business Models in the Light of the Digital Transformation, Smart City Perspective, presented by Boban Stojanovic, Zorana Kostić, and Vladan Vučić. Please, Boban, would you join us?
Just please, Zoran, unmute. We don't hear you.
Sorry,
Hello.
we can hear you.
Do you see my presentation?
Yes.
Oh, great. So let's start again. Distinguished Chairman, Mr. Drezgic, dear colleagues, firstly, I would like to warmly greet you from Niš, Serbia, and to express great satisfaction due to you give us opportunity to participate in the conference in this virtual way. Secondly, in these specific conditions, I would like to wish you best health, because there is no doubt that the impact of COVID-19 epidemic has been exploded. On behalf of Professor Boban Stojanovic and Professor Vladan Vučić from Niš, I would like to express pleasure to congratulate to organizers for great work, and top topic of the conference, namely Niš Society of Economics, and the president of this society is Professor Stojanovic, and our society is a part of economists at the national level, has organized the Forum of Advanced Technologies in cooperation with local government, with special focus on smart city. And this is something similar with these two events. And I would take the opportunity to invite all of you to come to Niš in October or November this year. I hope it will be possible. You are welcome to give contribution to our event, which is also deals with smart city. Allow me to mention this important fact that our city, that Niš, is the first city in Serbia which is the part of the pilot project for the implementation this concept, this business model. And considering all these mentioned things, and with respect to the conference requirements, we have a presentation entitled Sustainable Business Models in the Light of digital transformation, smart city perspective. In the next few minutes, I will briefly present the main findings from our paper, which is still in progress. In the second slide, you can see the agenda of our presentation. And after introduction, the second part deals with literature review. The third one gives a methodology framework, and the main methods include an economic analysis of the newest official data according to impact of digital trends on the development of the sustainable business models. The focus is on highlighting the selected indicators. We have chosen input, output, outcome, progress, and impact indicators for assessing the sustainability of the smart city models, of course, in the context of economics in digital transformation. In the session 4, we present empirical results, and I will focus on this part of our paper. Finally, in the last part, I will highlight some main concluding remarks. We are aware of the fact that researchers on the development of the smart city models are increasing significantly. And the point of departure of our paper is the understanding the smart city models as an imperative of global trends as the market for applicable technology solution. So the main motive for this research is the fact that more than 2.5 billion new residents will live in cities by 2050, which create the need for smart and sustainable development. The main objective of this paper is to investigate whether the model of smart cities contributes to creating a sustainable business environment on the one hand, but to improve life conditions on the other hand. Upon confirmation, the hypothesis that smart city concept is prerequisite for better life conditions, higher standard of living, sustainable business environment, and national economy, the subsequent validation of such models should bring better understanding of the impact of its components on each dimension of sustainability. As we know, it's economic, environmental, and social dimension. This research may be the basis for a more specific methodology for measure the impact and benefits of applying smart city, both in terms of sustainable environment and digital transformation. Please look at this market analysis. In this chart, we present global smart cities market growth until 2025. As we can see, sustainable business model solutions for smart cities are estimated around $3.5 trillion. We can see this positive trend, and expectations are that this trend will continue in the next years. Look at this also these figures, these charts, and they are show us newest data according to cities in motions. As can be observed, 1/3 of the global cities considered are from Western Europe, which is the most represented region in the world according to smart cities or cities is motions, as our source said. I would like to say that is one comprehensive indicator which is constructed of 9 dimensions, and we can see which dimensions are observed. It's a human capital, it's a social cohesion, it's economy, governance, environment, mobility and transportation, urban planning, and technology. I would like to say that this analysis consists of 174 cities. 79 of them are capitals, and this analyzed 80 countries. For this presentation, we have chosen just five of them, cities from our region. As we can see, Ljubljana is the best placed capital city in the region among these analyzed cities. Zagreb placed the 17th. Hello.
Na ovoj konferenciji sam, čekaj, pozvaću te. I sve
Seventy.
uredno.
And 97th place. Belgrade is ranked 120th place. So as we can see, there are a lot of space for progress in this field. The latest research in this field shows that consumer relationship management can be considered as a sort of green IT oriented towards digital transformation and sustainable business model innovation. It is important to emphasize that smart city models are designed to manage urban flows and to provide real-time answers to demand-side requests. In this regard, some papers provide an analysis of the determinants of economic efficiency and some prerequisites for energy security of some city. It's one very important field when we talk about this topic. And I would like to mention that infrastructure improvements that result in reducing the energy demand of smart cities represented by the intelligent lighted diode street lighting system is very important, and which is something will be popular also in our region in the next year. Findings shows that there is a need for better management, including a strong network of leaders to drive these policies and investments and to cover wider city areas with economically sustainable projects and plans. And when we talk about plans and projects, we have chosen to show you, to present this scheme of the PricewaterhouseCoopers. This is one of the framework which shows the need for coordination of the city administration on the one hand, and build and utility infrastructure on the other hand. In the context of digital trends, building smart cities requires the integration of all ICT components and their integration. Why? The answer is easy: in order to create convergent service delivery platform. And to conclude, just a few concluding remarks. Smart city models are very important because they manage urban flows and provide real-time answers to issues. They try to ask how to achieve sustainable development. Different models of this concept are based on existing technology, of course, in order to respond to demand-side requests. Our results may be of special interest for city planners, for local government stakeholders, as well as urban policy makers dealing with planning and managing smart cities. And in the context of the relation to continued developments, I would like to highlight two sides. The first one is that the great challenges that city face will not be solved simply with technology. Also necessary are long-term vision, a sincere desire to collaborate, and a clear focus on the needs of the public. And the second one, but the last, but maybe not the least, is that a truly smart city is one that has its goal improving the quality of life of its residents, which means ensuring economic, social, and environmental sustainability. Thank you for your attention. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to contact us. You have our email address, or we can discuss at the end. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Zorana and Boban, for your presentation and the interesting paper. We will surely have questions at the end. And now I would like to give a floor to Darko Rendulic, Damir Mihanovic, and Rea Trokovic with their paper E-Government Innovation, the case of e-Estonia and implications for entrepreneurship and public sector in Southeast Europe. Darko, we cannot hear you well. Can you maybe increase the volume of your microphone or something? Hello? Okay, we have some technical issues. Исключ. Darko, do you hear us? If you cannot hear us, please give us a sign, chat or. Okay, what I propose in the meantime, until Darko doesn't solve technical issues, I propose that we start with questions. So I have two questions. One of those is to Ivana and Jelena. In terms of your paper, how does the smart city concept fits in terms of the city's population size? What I can see is that basically most of the smart cities is actually, when you look at the methodologies, are actually large cities. How would you reflect in terms of your research to this issue?
Directly, we didn't analyze.
What is the connection of smart cities and population size? How would you see in terms of competitiveness?
Yes, in terms of competitiveness, it's actually good to be smart city because it increases the magnetism of the cities. The performances we were analyzing are usually the performances of the smart cities, and with the increase of this accessibility, which is one of the main goals of smartness, actually smart performances of the cities, there is also the increase of population. So being smart cities also actually one methodology, one approach that brings more magnetism and more citizens to the city. So that's why smart cities are usually big ones, because they attract more people to be in it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. I see one question in the chat. Let's see if you have one question. What is the question? Okay. So colleague Rendulic is trying to reconnect because he has some technical problems. In the meantime, I also invite everybody else to, if you have any questions, to react. Colleague Darko is connecting, so let's hope we will have better technical terms this time. Maybe one question before for Zorana and Boban. And the question is, we can see a number of models of smart cities. And we can see a lot of criticism in terms of how the methodology is developed. So how would you reflect in that sense? So the question is, if we are measuring business models in the light of the smart city perspectives, what are we actually measuring? If we don't have appropriate methodology of measuring which city is smart, do we have a problem?
Yeah. Yes, thank you very much for your question. It's really important for relevant conclusions and for development of smart city business models. The measuring is very important, and one of the preconditions for good measuring is to have an adequate methodology. In our paper, we will pay attention and we will suggest some of the indicators which can be useful, which can be measurable, and which can give some reliable results. So we have suggestions to divide these indicators in some groups, some subgroups. Some of them are input indicators. We differ in outcome and output indicators. So it's very important. Some institutes, one of them we have measured, it's a business school of University of Navarra in Spain, suggests some indexes, which is one comprehensive indicator, a lot of dimensions, a lot of indicators. For example, this one, which I mentioned, consists of more than 10 more dimensions, more than 50 indicators for measuring. So it's very important to be really to pay attention on selection the indicators in order to measure these models, to compare them. A lot of regions in the world have their some specificities, as we can see in this map. Western Europe is the most concentrated region at the global level with these business models for smart cities. And I hope that I have a good answer for you.
Yeah. It's not easy to provide answer on this. Okay, thank you very much. We hope that Darko resolved his technical problems. Darko, can you start sharing presentation? We still cannot hear you. There is some sound, but we cannot hear. Okay, unfortunately, there is something obviously wrong. We had other papers in this session by Majid Semeti, Srđan Ređepagić, and Farzad Mirmabub, movement from e-government to smart government. But as I am able to see from the list of attendees, they are still not online. Also their other paper is Smart Governance and Determinant Factors. The last paper in our session is Sanja Jevremović from Belgrade Banking Academy, Singapore as a benchmark for the development of the concept of smart cities, and also we don't see her in the list of attendees. So I would suggest to colleague Darko to maybe if you can resolve your technical problems and maybe fit into some of the other sessions that we have later today or tomorrow or on Friday. So in the meantime, I would like to ask panelists or attendees if you have any questions in terms of our presentation so far. In the meantime, I would like to repeat again for those of you that okay. There is a question, Filip Jukic, is there an opportunity to implement blockchain technology in smart cities for better management of cities? Okay, maybe Zorana would like to answer.
Maybe yes. Maybe yes. I would like to say that I saw the first sign of this implementation of blockchain technologies in Johannesburg last year. I saw an ATM machine at the street in one shopping mall. So for me, it was a sign that technology is really present in our cities, and definitely we can see it. Maybe one problem for the full implementation of this concept is the capacity. Infrastructure is one side of the implementation, and the capacity of the population or residents is very important in order to implement successfully this concept.
Okay, thank you. Do we have some more questions? Okay, no, that was it. Okay, well, if we don't have further questions, I would like to ask colleague Darko to try to fit in some of other sessions when you resolve your technical issues. And to the rest of the panelists and audience. Yes?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Great.
Excellent.
So I finally succeeded to reach you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So that is problem of new IT information technology. May I share my screen?
Yes, of course. Just please continue.
Great. So first of all, my best regards to all of attendees and to the chairman of the session. I've been attending all previous sessions and presentations, and I'm really glad to participate this conference. I have noticed many questions for our colleagues for one comfortable discussion, but let me first go through the presentation of Mr. Damir Mihanović. He's docent on University of North, and Rea Troković, our colleague. Is that okay with you?
Yes, of course.
Great, thank you. So the topic of our short research is e-government and innovations, case of Estonia as one of the former Soviet republics, small Baltic country, similar to Croatia, Slovenia, Bosnia, Serbia, and so on. And we were following their results achieved after the economic and financial crisis appeared in 2008 and till 2017. They managed to provide rapid agile response in that time, transformation of public administration into a single government, maybe due to the size, but for sure by the help of contemporary information technology. So the path was containing confidentiality, integrity, and interoperability of data exchange, how to back up the country in case of occupation, so on and so forth. Those are all advantages and threats of contemporary IT systems. They provided one specific product of information technology. It is e-residency. That is digital identity for the non-residents. Those non-residents may be citizens of European Union and or not, and the source for this analysis and this view was the Government Benchmark 2018 background report. Just to mention, some of world famous brands in e-business were created as Estonian startups: Skype, Bolt, TransferWise, Playtech, and so on. This is graphics of the success of the Estonian government to take fourth and third place compared to the other European countries in considering economic moving or advanced transportation justice and average. And in that manner, I have a question for previous colleagues who presented previous presentation regarding human capital and governance. And Estonia was third ranking country in benchmarking in the live event regular business operations. So they were open to regular business operations or regular business activities as most flexible and fast. So this is short path of introducing e-government as a whole system, complete system. They started in year 2000 with e-cabinets, e-taxes, boards. Of course, we are starting with finance and collecting fiscus, m-parking, then e-schooler system, digital signature, which is still doubtful in our area here, all way back to the all strategies included reporting 3.0, so on, so forth. That may be science fiction for our personal experiences, but somehow it works in Estonia. Obviously, they took it as primary tool in attracting foreign businesses and capacities. So it applies to digital nomads to start and manage their paperless company while they travel, freelancers, startup companies, the very beginners, and digital entrepreneurs. They go to market quickly without accessing paperwork or traveling, losing resources and time. So it provides application for business establishment online by e-government services in Estonia with access to business service for small businesses and their operations, including bookkeeping services, so accounting and so on. Provide service for EU and non-EU citizens. That means that enables members or residents of other countries and other groups to access European market by the legal way and use the all benefits of, let me say, legal tax evasions and so on, or optimizing tax burdens. Does not mean recognition or right to settle in Estonia, nor acquisition of civil rights and citizenship and so on, because it is governed by other rules and constraints. The number of e-residents raised significantly in period 2014-2017. It was boom at the beginning, but it still lasts, and those diagrams are showing the progress of these figures in Estonia. The number of new companies is rising, the number of e-residents and companies owned by e-residents are rising a little bit faster than the e-residents, meaning that they are opening one or more companies in their names. So we tried to research a bit this phenomenon, and we were measuring and comparing ranks of selected indicators before and after the introduction of e-program. Influence of key factors, special matter experts development, evaluation of efficiency, public administration, reduction number of procedures, and time for the establishment of new enterprises. This number of procedures actually remains the same, but they're much faster processed by contemporary IT information technologies. We use secondary data from World Economic Forum, global competitiveness indexes. We evaluated government efficiency, number of procedures required to establish a business, time required to start a business, and number of foreign investments in new enterprises. So we set three hypotheses that influence of e-residency program itself is statistically significant for comparative evaluation of the government efficiency. Secondly, it is statistically significant for reduction of the number of the procedures needed for establishing an enterprise, and it is statistically significant for reduction of time needed for establishing an enterprise, so simplifying and fastening. We tested hypothesis number 1, that e-residency is statistically significant for comparative evaluation of the government efficiency. And actually applying Mann-Whitney test, this hypothesis failed and it was rejected because it doesn't fulfill the statistical criteria. Hypothesis number 2, that e-residency is statistically significant for reduction of the number of the procedures needed for establishing an enterprise. We found the correlation positive, and we tested the rank, and actually the graphics provides the acceptance of hypothesis number 2. And we have also hypothesis number 3. We had more of them, but for this occasion we chose these 3. That e-residency is statistically significant for reduction of time needed for establishing an enterprise, which is statistically also proven, and by rank as well. So what would be the conclusion and implications for let me say so, East Public, or as they used to call us, Balkan? Public sector needs to be changed in a way of facing external political regulatory influences, but also that means political surrounding, but also using new IT opportunities to improve institutional environment and support the economy. IT has been one of key drivers of government reforms over the past decades and still being used as precondition to increase efficiency, transforming government into e-government. Fast reaction is crucial because peripheral countries, and we may consider to be peripheral countries, suffer the crisis first and recover last. And due to the complexity of assessing the efficiency of public administration, it's not possible to determine the effect of a single variable, e-government, for example, on such complex indicator. The same is true for other complex socioeconomic indicators, but it's obvious that the quality of e-governance and opening up to global talent strengthens the entrepreneurial dynamics in the country. Those are indexes of GDP decrease and increase during period 2010-2018. So after 2014, this is typical fall in period of introducing the system and dramatical or fast rise in the next 4 years till the 2018. There is also one picture that shows, let me say, stability of the system. So considering population of Estonia, we have net external migration rising up with natural increase almost flat. So that means that they managed to attract or import foreign capacities to cover the lack or miss of the young manpower left the country to more attractive countries or cities. And some of these lessons learned by Estonia can serve as a quality basis for public policies, liberalizing and dynamizing economy, strengthening entrepreneurship, and attracting global talents from peripheral EU to non-EU countries. The issue of human capital is especially important given that nationalist isolationist policies do not provide clear answer to the questions: what happens when the middle generations retire and pool of young people is completely dried out by immigration? What is human capital? Who can be counted on dynamizing the economy and strengthening innovative entrepreneurship? And those are questions for discussion and further researches. Thank you for attending this short presentation, and I'm open for questions.
Thank you very much for this really interesting research and great presentation. Before anybody else, I would like to ask a question, and I'm really curious. If you compare e-government in Estonia and e-government in Croatia, what would what would be your conclusions, your reflections, and why can't we be so successful in terms of e-government like Estonia? Where do you see our limits?
Where do you see a problem? Well, one of the fields of my interest is managing supply chains by contemporary information technologies. And although the tools like software and hardware are available at market at various modifications, and they are quite, they can be tailor-made and they can be adapted to particular needs, it is always the user or the politicians who are creating the climate, and that is always the reason why certain intentions or actions are successful or failed. And I believe particularly it was shown during this pandemic problem working online, that people need certain level of technical support. They need also certain level of knowledge how to use these ITs, and we are facing those problems permanently. and particularly these days. And concerning this success of Estonia in e-residency and fast, we have also one-stop program for opening companies and let me say small limited companies, but we still do not have the whole process digitalized. It takes 2, 3, 5 days for people who are trying to establish a new company to go around and collect some, let me say, results of particular softwares and to bulk them into one set of documents and to apply and register at court. So that is still, let me say, a partial usage of the possibilities of the system.
Thank you. Do we have some other questions from the attendees or comments? Okay, if not, thank you very much once more for presentation. I would like to announce for those of you who are not attending our opening, that we will publish a paper, of course, in our proceedings. We have been promised from Clarivate that our evaluation for the indexation will be in July. So hopefully, also we will enter into the process of indexation from this point to every proceedings that we have in future. Also, the best papers from the conference will be published in our journal of economics and business, and this is what we regularly do for 2 years on, and we usually have about 10 papers from the conference. And also, of course, I would like all participants to look at the journal, and regardless of this conference, to think about your contributions, and also probably you can find some other papers that you can cite and use in your book. Also, at 2 o'clock, we have fantastic speakers from United States, Eric Lipper, and also Corrado Macchiarelli from London, experts on macroeconomic and fiscal policy. We will have also a panel. So I would like to invite you at 2 o'clock to join us again and listen to these wonderful speakers and panel. Thank you very much for now. We will make a break till 2 and see you later.
Thank you.